Race week. So let's talk about race week. 16-week block. Did around 13 of it, and the other 3 weeks was just easing into it. But around 13 weeks of good structured training. If you've been watching the previous videos, you'll know that I'm doing a AI/myself plan. It needed a lot more tweaking because as I've run the sessions and things, and week to week, I have changed sort of a lot on the fly. So looking back, it probably needed more tailoring. The Mondays were always a rest day. Tuesdays was always a speed work day, and that really went really well. Wednesdays was like always a steady, an easy, longish run. The Thursday session was always the hard one because it was asking for quite an extensive amount of tempo running, and the paces it gave were around 4-minute kilometre pace to maybe 4:10. And where I was with my own fitness, I struggled with that. I mentioned it before about chopping the tempos into intervals rather than straight running. It just felt too hard. Saturdays was a steady run, or a marathon pace effort-ish run. Again, I never really hit the paces that it suggested, which is kind of like around the sub-marathon 3 pace. Sub-3 marathon pace is just a goal pace. It's not where I am or where I was at. I couldn't just force that pace. My body didn't feel right to do that. The long run was always good. I really enjoyed them. My favourite run of the week. And as time grew, overall, I felt really good. I've run this training build all on myself, apart from one key run, which Josh Wilson and Ewan Heritage came down to join me. I appreciate that because I know you were training for your events. I think Josh was doing the 10K and Ewan was coming out training for a 5K race. So at the time, just to jump up and do a part of that long run with me was nice, and I appreciate that, lads. I've also been working a little bit with Ben Lewis from the Hillsborough Running Club, talking about my arm swing and a little bit of my imbalance on my form and things. I've noticed on some running clips that my arms seem to come out to the sides rather than backwards and things like that. That makes me a little bit wobbly and not as efficient as I could be. So yeah, to try and develop some mental cues whilst racing the marathon. And I've only just touched on basics. We've met before. We tried to meet again last week, but the snow sort of put a stop to that. So we've been sending messages and video clips of myself running and talking about little things. So that's really the training over the last 16 weeks. I think it's gone quite well as a whole. Only this week and last week I felt the fatigue a little bit, but again, I always feel that with tapering, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you train for a marathon. Those taper weeks is suddenly where you get ill, which I picked up a runny nose, so again, always seems to happen in taper, something like that. Or you pick up little niggles that you didn't know you had and all this sort of stuff, and you start to feel lethargic, and then your brain starts going, oh, you need more time to train, you're not as fit as you thought you were because you feel really sluggish. But I guarantee most people will feel the same things. Yeah, let's talk about Valencia. Let's talk about the goals for Valencia. Now, I know a lot of people are following this journey, thinking about the sub-3 and the whole, journey of getting there. And a lot of people have already messaged saying you're going to get it in this time. But, and that's really nice. Trust me, I love the positivity, but there has to be some reality check as well. That, don't forget, I ran a 1:28:30, I think, 1:28:30 second, nearly 1:29.5 just a few months ago. And if it was somebody else and I was talking to them and they were telling me what they were going to try and do based off that, I would probably say it's going to be hard. It's a rare that I ever hear anyone run a 1:28, nearly 1:29.5 marathon a few months ago, then go on to run a marathon and crack sub-3. Deep down, I'm not expecting to be at that fitness level. I've only had really 13 weeks of marathon training to get my half marathon time to be a sub-3 marathon pace, it's a tough ask, really. It's not, for me, it's just a little bit too soon. So I have to have that realism in my mind, but at the same time, do not get me wrong, I am going to go for this and I'm going to throw the kitchen sink, but it might be too much for me in the end. As I'm running, I might think, well, this is what I knew would happen. I'm not too worried about that. One thing about this training build for this marathon is the main priority was to come back from the summer burnout and feel like I was building. And I wasn't really thinking about sub 3, which was quite nice because the pressure was off myself. And I think because I've failed so many times now, it's gone like it'll be my 6th attempt. It's gone to that region where it doesn't matter if it's the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. It's all in the same region. It's just a hell of a lot of times, Go to Valencia, give it a shot, and see where you are. And wherever that may be, you build off it, because at least you're not in that summer burnout phase where your body just feels like it's going backwards. Whereas now I feel like I'm going forwards of the journey rather than this being this big sub 3 thing. Of course, I'll go for it. Of course, it's nice when I hear people think I can do it, but reality says it's probably a little bit too soon, but we'll find out. It's crippled me in the past on the floor. It's given me bad memories in my previous marathons, but actually I'm actually excited to take that sort of challenge again and see what the pain feels like and go there again mentally. I'm actually excited to do that, which is a big change from my last 2 marathons where I was getting a bit anxiety knowing that I'd have to get to that stage in the marathon and what it's done to me, and it chews me up and spits me out, give me that pain sort of thing. I want to test again. I want to feel it again. I might get chewed up and spat out again, but I'm happy to give it a go to get there. And if it does, it does. That's fine. So let's talk about the kit that I'm using. The first one, the same, Adidas Pro 3s. Very nice shoes. I've also changed the laces because if you're like me and you have a lot of Adidas Adizero shoes, they always give horrible laces. Too much pressure and you have to adjust it so many times. I've changed the laces to these laces. They're called Mr. Lacy. I didn't know anything about them. I just Googled running laces and this website came up and it had some special running category on their site. Very light and airy, a little bit rounded. And it just creates a really nice sensation on the lockdown. Even when you tighten it really tight, a little bit of leeway that it lets you sort of have that pressure relieved a little bit. To have a look at changing them out for something like this because it's made the comfort a lot nicer. And for the shorts, I've got these Adidas Adizero gel shorts. Now these have got pockets all around on the waist. They're built in, put the camera in. I can put a small bottle in if I want to, and my gels and things like that. So yeah, Adidas Adizero. These are quite short shorts, probably the shortest shorts I've got. So that's why I'm sort of picking them, because it's going to be warm in Valencia. So I'm going to go with all the little things that are going to make me a tiny little bit cooler. So I'm going to go with these. The singlet, I've upgraded from my Say Sky that I normally, like you might have seen on some of the race videos. And I've gone for their premium race Say Sky singlet, which is part of their Flow range. It's so light and so soft. I'm not actually running it because it's so cold outside, so I've not actually tested it. So yeah, the nothing new on race day rule is going to go out the window because I'm going to wear this singlet. And it's so soft, so light. It's even lighter, only by a very short amount, but even lighter than my Saw singlet. So that gives you an idea how light this is. Socks, I tried a few socks out. I mentioned it on my previous video, the shoe socks. They were quite nice and premium that a lot of people race in. I tried them. I didn't find they were that good. I'm going to go back to what I normally wear in the Compress Sport Pro Marathon socks. I like these socks and I'll be wearing these again. So yeah, these are probably the best performing socks I can find on the market. So I'm flying out to Valencia on Friday around 1, I think it is, from Manchester. So I'm going to be on my feet. I'm going to be traveling. It's going to be hard to track, like I did last year, all the amount of carbohydrates I'm taking and calculating how much is going to be my intake and planning meals and what I'm eating. It's going to be too hard to do that. So that's not going to happen. I can't do that. It's just going to have to be going on, having meals and making sure they're like rice or pasta, and then in between on the go having things like the Velo Forte bars that I've got, and also the cereal bars and things like that I've got. I'll be taking those across with me, but I'm just going to have to go by, what there is to eat around there, when I can eat, and the opportunities. And I'll be drinking the carbohydrate drinks as well. The Velo Forte drinks are quite good. as a sort of carb load, but I won't be tracking anything. I won't be making any numbers. On the morning of the race, I will look to hit numbers, and I'm going to look for about 100 to 120 grams, roughly, of carbohydrates. I'm going to have breakfast about 5:20, so it'd be 3 hours before the race. I think I'm going to have 2 pots of porridge, instant ones, because we're traveling. I'm going to take it over there with me. Going to be about over 80 grams of carbohydrates in that, and then to top me over the 100 to get to more of the goal I want, I'll be maybe have one of these, or maybe I'll just drink something like that to reach the goal of about 100 to 120 grams of carbohydrates. And then before the race, I will be switching to 1 pack of the chews, Velo Forte chews, which are really good. Really like these. Not going to use them for the race because I tried them in training and they sort of stick together. They're a bit cumbersome to get out the packet when they start melting and things, so that didn't work. Use them for training, that's fine. I don't mind stopping for a few seconds in training, but in race day, I don't want any issues of getting these out the packet. So yeah, gone back to what I've used in the past, Morton. I've never used the 160s. These are the bigger gels with more carbohydrates in, just so I can carry less pack in like individual packets. And I did try these on the long runs, but yeah, gel 160 is what I'm going to be using. That's 40 grams of carbohydrates, and I'll be taking that before in the warm up, before the race in the warm up, and then this every around 40 minutes. That is the fueling. I'm not sure whether I'm going to take any water in a bottle yet. Forecast to be a little bit warmer than last year, but it could change. It does seem to be changing every day. I will probably check leading up to the race day to see what the weather is exactly. People have told me the water stations in Valencia are bottles, so you can carry them, you can hold on to them for a bit and get, you know, a good drink out of them, versus cups, which is quite difficult. So that might be a key factor in carrying a bottle. There's a lot of people out there on socials that are running Valencia. Some of the big YouTubers are running it, and then there's some other people that I've met on socials and I'm sort of chatty with that are going. I've got a friend who's just completed an Ironman like a month or so ago, and then he wanted another challenge. I said, why don't you go for a real all-out fast marathon? So I'll see him there. My brother's actually rolled his ankle or something. He's been seeing the physio, so he's not run for a while. But he's should be okay to run the race, and he's going for a sub 440 as an A goal. No, A goal is 430, sub 430. B goal sub 440, and I guess the C goal is just to finish the marathon, get a PB from his last marathon when he had a really rough time. I'm going to Valencia and I'm going to give it a good shot, and I'm going to give it, everything I've got to try and run as close to a sub 3 as I possibly can. If a miracle happens on the day and I manage to get under 3, then wow. Rare stories that people break sub 3, running quite a slow 128, 129 half for me. But it's not impossible. But it's rare, but not impossible. So we'll see what happens. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being invested in the journey. Whether you want to see me fail or succeed, that's fine. I know a lot of people like the videos where I've failed. It's all good. So anyway, either way, I'll see you next time it'll be the race vlog, the race weekend vlog. So yeah, I'll see you soon. See you in a bit.